The coast of Dapitan curves to form private coves, and as the sun sets, it catches fire with an amber brilliance. It's too bad Rizal arrived in the evening of that 7th of July, 1892. Perhaps he would have been comforted by the gripping beauty of it all. Instead, he arrived at 7 in the evening after a harrowing ride on the MV Cebu and was greeted not by a friendly face, but civilian guards. Before the sun sank, the cruise brought me to the Dakak resort, my home for the next day or two. On the shore, waiting for me, was a good friend, Charisse. After a bit of catching up, Charisse was quick to introduce me to a few local welcoming ceremonies unique to Dakak. Every night, during the evening feast, a show of local talent are laid out for guests. Tonight is the spirit of Hawaii. And guess who's joining me next?
Awesome, check it out.
Early the next day, Charisse couldn't wait to show me around the resort. Dakak is a restful place enjoyed by almost anyone looking for a seaside retreat, with all the basic necessities I need while on my self-imposed exile. Dakak is expansive. It has about 150 rooms, a golf course, swimming pools, a tennis court, 2 restaurants and a stable. The place is green with a lush cover of trees keeping out the heat. Time to get the blood pumping, as we dare to climb the irony that is the repeater trail. Struggling up 300 steep steps to the viewing deck takes you to the highest point in the resort. High above, you could see the lay of the land and vaguely the nearby islands we plan to visit. But of course, its most prized feature is the view of the beach. Who would think that here you could have the powdery sands of Boracay just by the resort? The beachfront hugs the 750-meter coast of the cove, where a manner of sporting activities can be enjoyed. After all that climbing, we decided that lazing about on the sailboat would be the best. Before noon, we headed out to sea to experience more of the Isle in Exile. Located roughly 14 kilometers off the coast of the village of Tagilon is Sinilog Island. Surrounded by white sand beach, the crystal clear water is popular among local divers. The people that reside here are mostly local fishermen, a popular source of livelihood in Dapitan and more so in Dipolog, who is the country's capital for bottled sardines. Popular brands like Montaño, Zaragoza, and Mendoza originated from fishing family businesses in the city. A multi-million peso industry that's put Dipolog on the map. But it seems, long before that, Rizal had already found the greater value of these seas. Rizal writes in his letters to his brother-in-law Manuel T. Hidalgo. Pukutan, or trawl fishing, as he wrote, is a method of commercial fishing using long, wide nets. It's no surprise that today, the many armed trawl boats can be seen docked along its shores. Nearby is the island of Aliguay, another white sand marvel. The sand here is more coarse, but the wealth beneath equally gratifying. Here in the company of a 4-piece band, we dined like pelagic princesses on a host of grilled seafood and kinilaw na isda, or raw fish stewed in spices and vinegar. It's worth saying that currents on both islands can be rough, and the beachfront dips abruptly, so it's best to err on the side of caution for inexperienced swimmers such as myself. But by the afternoon, on our return, I hit the road again in search of Rizal. Admittedly, Dakak seems like a welcome distraction to my quest. But that said, it did give a better idea as to how much of Rizal's writings about Dapitan still rang true today. Without another second to lose, I bid Charisse a momentary farewell to meet with a friend of hers who's a resident of Dapitan.
Okay, so I don't know anything about this place. Where am I? What am I doing?
This is Rizal National Park, and first we're gonna visit the museum. We're gonna visit the place and check out all these houses here. But first, we should visit the museum.
Okay, cool. Wait, so what's in this Rizal Park? What am I to expect here? There's the Rizal Museum.
Inside are some of his clothes and some of his works, but not the original crafts, only the facsimile replicas of it.
Inside the museum was a repository of Rizal's experience here in Dapitan. Mounted along the hall are some of his writings while in Dapitan, his clothes, several bas-reliefs, as well as iconic images of him with his family and his martyrdom. Outside in the remaining 10-hectare lot dedicated to the park, Rizal's home was rebuilt. In his correspondence with his good friend Ferdinand Blumentritt, he describes his home as one square, another hexagonal, and a third octagonal, all of bamboo, wood, and nipa. Within the square house, or casa cuadrada, Rizal and his visiting mother, sister, and nephew lived. In the octagonal, or casa redonda, lived his students that grew under his tutelage and became prominent figures. The third is a chicken pen. He eventually opened up the Casa Hospitales, a clinic, where in most cases he had given free medicine. Although he had other properties, it was here where he stayed the longest, from 1893 to 1896. He often spoke of his garden with pride, saying in a letter once, by a heart-shaped rock, he was imbued with poetry. Rizal called it Mi Retiro, or My Retreat, where he took inspiration from Dapitan, the city he briefly called home. By this very rock, it is believed that he and Josephine Bracken had said their vows. Today, the park is in the care of the local religious sector called the Rizalistas of the Kingdom of God.
Kami ang nag-maintain dito, maglinis, paligid dito mga kasamahan namin. Ang ginagawa namin dito, bakit kami nag-volunteers? Kasi para sa amin kasi si Dr. Rizal, hindi siya ordinary na tao. Yung malaking puno na yan, yung tinatawag na baluno, ano na yan, malapit na yan sa 200 years. Kasi pagdating ni Dr. Rizal dito, mayroon na siyang bunga.
But it wasn't all bamboo and nipa here. To my surprise, April insisted that I try out the bathroom. With an extra 5 pesos, a few luxuries could be purchased in the Rizal Shrine. Who'd think a fancy air-conditioned bathroom would be one of the highlights in a place like this? Slowly, I was gaining a better understanding about how people thought of, treated Rizal here. Intrigued at all this, April took me to the town center, where to this day memories of Rizal remain, down to the street signs.
This is the map of Mindanao made by Dr. Jose Rizal with the help of Father Francisco Paula de Sanchez, his teacher in Ateneo. He was a Jesuit priest, and this map was built to motivate as a motivating device in teaching geography to his students. So it's based on Father Pedro Murillo Villarde's map.
Oh, okay. And so the land part is obviously the grass, and the water part is this cement, or the other way around?
He used to outline this with rattan and seashells. Originally, yes. Some of the acacia trees around the plaza was planted by Dr. Jose Rizal himself. Tinulungan siya ni Captain Carnicero, the guard, the political guard of Dr. Jose Rizal in Dapitan City. So minus the elevated borders, which was constructed in 1996, the rest is original.
So he planned, in essence, the the city center.
Yes. He planned gayahin daw yung mga those plazas, the gardens he saw in Europe. So that's why he come up with like this, the plaza. It already existed when he came here. He further beautified it lang.
So you lived here for most of your life?
Since I was born.
Yes. And so you would have a good idea, what is it with Dapitan, Rizal, and how has that been part of people from Dapitan? How has that changed their lives?
Maybe it's because Dr. Jose Rizal have contributed a lot to the Dapitanons. He was our first doctor in Dapitan, and he also gave us the first lights in Dapitan City. These whole acacia trees where he hung these tree trunks with this coconut oil lamp. The budget came from the money paid by one of his clients before. The water system, he was the one who parang nagbigay ng yung waterworks. Yes, yun. And also, he was so kind that he gave free medical services to the people.
My walk with April was enlightening, and though I could neither refute or confirm any of it, what's significant was that he was thought of in a special way. To end the day, April brought me to B&B, where I could enjoy the barbecue by the bay while watching the sun set in a quiet, restful city of Dapitan. So it is that Dapitan earned its title the Shrine City, due to its dedication to the memory of Jose Rizal that went more than surface deep. At night, I had but one shrine left to visit. Coming up, what the evening reveals as I'm ready for a final surprise.